How's it going, everyone? Data here, and welcome back to the Vancouver Canucks franchise mode here on NHL 24. Moving into episode number 37, the second half of year number 10, 2032-33. Thank you for the wait for the last couple of weeks as I've been away on vacation, and now that I'm back from vacation, still a lot going on in my life as my fiance and I are doing a lot of decisions when it comes to paint and contractors and furniture for the house that we'll be moving into once we get married next year. So there's a lot of stuff going on in my life. I took a couple of weeks off, and I still have more to come in the month of July, but we're back into the semi-regular flow of things. The live streams are back up and running, and of course, we're back here in Vancouver to finish off our 10th season with the Canucks. In the last one, we finished with a record that put us on a pace of 54, 22, and 6. We're 27, 11, and 3 at the moment. And honestly, a lot is going right, but as always, there are a few areas in which we want to keep an eye on, and that's where we'll turn to the assistant general managers in just a moment. But it's been a couple of weeks. If you haven't been watching this franchise mode series so far, you're a new subscriber, possibly from the Ivan Demidov simulation. We're closing on 8,000 subscribers. Let me quickly catch up on where we've been. On your screen's a quick little rundown of our records so far through our 9 complete seasons. We've been to 3 Stanley Cup Finals, we've won 2 Stanley Cups, and now here we are in our 10th season with this Canucks squad, with a good mix of veterans that we inherited and newer players that we've added along the way. One of those players is Frederick Lundqvist, 91 overall, high elite, 3rd overall pick in 2029. He is pretty much the engine in our offense with his 96 shooting accuracies and 99 shot powers. And as you'll see when we look at all the total numbers in just a moment, he has been good for 50-plus goals last couple seasons, coming off a 100-point season in his 3rd season last year, and now currently with 43 in 38 for his 4th NHL season. Centering that line is the Swedish Chef, Stefan Markstrom, the 1st overall pick of the Canadiens in 2025. Long story short, disrespected by the Canadiens organization, ended up coming to Vancouver, 91 points, then down to 63, then back up to 90 once we made him first-line center, and so far so good this season as he has 48 points on pace for 96. So lots to be excited about on the first line, and to finish off the right wing for the all-Swedish line here is Jonathan Lekkerimäki, who despite having top 9 potential and being an 86 overall, has been very consistent. He's on track for a 4th consecutive 70-ish plus point season. This could be his best with 47 and 41. So the top line is firing on all cylinders. On the second, Owen Tippett, Elias Pettersson, and Aatu Räty. That makes our top 6, which has not changed for a couple of years now. In the bottom 6, a lot more youth in here. Tupkin, 81 overall at 20 years of age, former 2nd round pick. We have Tom Goldman, who's pretty much just going to be a depth forward forever, 2nd round pick in 2027, but at least he can fill that role. And Dorian Dominguez, who's a 78 overall, but 4.5-star shooting, 2nd round pick of the Blue Jackets in 2028. On the 4th line, one of our veterans, Vasily Podkolzin, postseason playoff Podkolzin. He loves going out there in the playoffs, and we look forward to his veteran leadership once we get there again. Junior Sador in his rookie year, 80 overall, once again, former 2nd round pick, and Dylan Montoya, 80 overall, former 4th round pick. So they're the forwards. On defense, as last episode was entitled, we are hoping for the Wonder Twins between Quinn Hughes and Noah Dobson. Quinn Hughes essentially is a tank if he plays with Filip Hronek. Through our 9 full seasons so far, Quinn Hughes has won 3 Norris trophies, and each one of those Norris trophies came when he played with Filip Hronek. Plays with Filip Hronek, wins the Norris. Plays, and actually, if you look at his numbers right here, you'll see when we tried playing him with Dougie Hamilton, 53-point season. Tried playing him with Evan Bouchard, 55-point season. Put him back with Filip Hronek, 76, 72, 85. And now this year, we tried putting him with Noah Dobson, someone who himself had been a 60, 70-point-ish pace kind of guy. Even Dobson has slowed down, as he had initially scored 35 and 40 when he came to Vancouver, then 60 and 82 last year. And now this year, just 18 and 41. So it seems as though when you put 2, not even offensive defensemen, but 2 offensively minded defensemen together on the top pair, it just doesn't work. But at the same time, we can't keep Hronek on the first pair forever. He's now an 80 overall. He's 35 years of age. We love him so very much. No disrespect to Filip Hronek, but even if we want to keep him, he's going to retire sooner rather than later. So it hasn't been great for Hughes and Dobson so far. We saw Dobson's numbers. Hughes has 14 points in 30 games. That's a 38-point pace, which would probably be a career low, right? Yeah, it would be a career low. Come on. Quinn Hughes coming off of winning the Norris Trophy last year. The good news is the rest of the defense is doing pretty well. Ruslan Kravchenko, our rookie 6th round pick in 2029, he has been doing very well. 12 points and a plus 19 through 38 games. And he's paired with Christian Wallace, who's in his sophomore season. Last year as a rookie, 13 points in 82 games. This year, he's more than already doubled his point totals in half the number of games with 27 and 41. And yes, of course, the ice time's a lot higher, 6.5 minutes more per night. But just to say, Christian Wallace has been an incredible revelation. 5th overall pick of the Blackhawks in 2030. He came in the Evan Bouchard trade once we moved Bouchard away. So Kravchenko and Wallace have been a great pair. And on the 3rd, Hronik with Stefan Arvidsson, another late round guy, 4th round pick of the Coyotes in 2025. Great to see these guys thriving. But what are we going to do about that first pair? Goaltending, as always, it's Hunter Jones as our starter. He has been our rock year in and year out, and he is backed up by Rainer Muller, who we drafted in the 3rd round in 2026. So there's a quick update, or just a reminder of where we are as a team. Raphael Beaulieu, the enforcer, 6'5", sits here as our 13th forward, and Franklin Quint here as 7th defenseman. Since we know that he'll never grow, since defensemen who are drafted with high overall in franchise mode never really grow, that's something you learn. He was drafted as 78. 3 years later, he's still 79, and I would be surprised if he ever gets higher than an 80. So sorry for the longer than usual intro, but just to situate you if you are newer to this series. And if there are any point totals that I didn't mention, here's how everything shapes up scoring-wise through the first 41 games. So there you have it. And then, of course, finally in the goaltending. And that's how things sit headed into the second half of year number 10. A year in which we'd love to win our 3rd President's Trophy and do so back-to-back for the first time in our time here in Vancouver. So the last thing to do before we get started, as always, will be to, of course, look at the comments left by the assistant general managers in the last one. Most important part of our franchise mode series is hearing from the AGMs and incorporating their suggestions into what we do. So we'll start it off with Cheating Heel, who left a comment in the last one saying, "Man, this team is firing on all cylinders once again. I'm not sure we need to tinker much with the lineup. We might look to add experience at the deadline on the 4th line and maybe also an extra D-man. But apart from that, unless we want to look into upgrading on bigger players like Dobson, Tippett, or Ratu, I don't see us making a big splash as we're better off keeping the value we have. If we want to target a potential UFA's right, someone who might be a free agent in this upcoming offseason, we might as well do it at the draft when it wouldn't cost us as much. Guys like Pasternak or William Nylander would be top options for that scenario on short-term extensions. What we might look into would be to find a conservative seller as a full-pledged seller wouldn't trade a top pick, and see if we can preemptively upgrade our 1st round pick by trading it alongside Esh, our medium league goalie prospect. We have 3 for 2 spots in the AHL, so we got to trade one of them. So trading Esh with a 2nd in the hopes that we end up getting a top 15 pick instead of being 28 to 32 in that range. It's a gamble, but it would also be less costly than trying to do so at the draft. Great point. Let's hope that Dobson and Hughes can turn things around in the second half and that they can carry this team during the playoffs. Otherwise, with the kind of money we're paying them, they'd be options to be traded. 40-ish points just isn't good enough coming from them. This team has what it needs on paper to win a championship, so let's see if the players can put it together and win it all once again. Go nuts. Thank you, Cheating Heel. Great thoughts, especially as we're thinking about the Esh trade. That was one of our major questions from the end of last episode. In the AHL, we have Baikov and Kabanov. I'm not really convinced by any of these goalie prospects, but the one that convinces me the least would be Esh, who's already a 72 at 22. Former 4th round pick in 2028. Still has medium league potential, still has some trade value, and we definitely want to trade him before it's too late and we let him go for less than what we could get right now. So Cheating Heel is saying that we take Esh, and we also take our 1st round pick, which would be somewhere in that 28 to 32 range, and we try to trade it maybe even with one of our 3 second round picks, let's say our own 2nd, to a team that would be a conservative seller. Let's say, for example, just the Bruins. They want a couple of these pieces. We try and trade them to the Bruins for their own 1st round pick. The Bruins, it would have to be a team that also wants a goalie prospect. I would do my due diligence and research it first, but this would be the kind of idea that Cheating Heel is talking about. Another approach, though, as Jenzy McKenzie said in this comment, would be to trade for a prospect. Jenzy McKenzie says maybe you could trade Esh for Johan Pressberg from the Seattle Kraken. And if we pause the comment just to hop over to the Kraken for a moment and pull up Pressberg, we see him right here. He's on the block, 72 overall, 18 years of age. He was just drafted 7th overall in 2032, but listen to the storyline here from Gen Z. Pressburg is being buried on the 4th line in the AHL, judging by his ice time, after just being drafted 7th overall. Due to his draft status, one would expect the Kraken organization to deploy him in the best situation for his development, but the Kraken are evidently not doing that right now. Most likely, Pressburg feels slighted by the Kraken and feels like he needs and deserves more ice time. He's probably thinking, what was the point of signing my ELC, leaving my family, friends, and teammates, and going to a foreign country across the Atlantic, yes, he was playing in Sweden, just be disrespected by barely playing in the AHL? He's on the block, so a trade for Pressburg does have some precedence, both in our franchise mode and real life. With Gen Z then going on to list some examples, Ash would also probably want out for the same reasons as Pressburg, being medium elite and kind of getting buried in our system. I think this is a fair trade, as two young, high-potential players who haven't gotten the ice time they deserve would be swapped for a change in scenery and a hopeful jump in their ice time and production. Just in case there are two goalies in Coachella Valley who are the same or higher overall compared to Ash, you might have to take somebody back, and no problem, just make the storyline make sense. Absolutely. So Gen Z makes a great point here. While I would be very interested in doing what Cheating Heel had said, in that we trade for a pick that's hopefully a lottery selection, what we also need to keep in consideration is this year's draft, if you remember from a couple episodes ago, is a low-medium draft. So classes can be medium-medium, high-medium, medium-high, low-high, etc., for the draft class and the generated prospect quality. This year, when we went through the number randomizer, it gave us a low draft class with medium prospect quality. So if you get a top 5 pick, yeah, it's a top 5 pick. But if we miss out and end up getting the 8th or the 10th or the 15th overall pick with that first, yes, it's better than 28, but we can get guaranteed right here, right now, the guy who was drafted 7th overall last year. That's one. Number 2, it fits the storyline. And number 3, it's Esh for Pressburg straight up, as opposed to Esh, a 1st and a 2nd, for a 1st and a 5th or something like that. If we want to trade up at the draft itself, yes, it'll be costly, but we will be able to have much more resources in a 1st, 3 seconds, 2/3, and so forth. So if we take Ash and want to trade him for Pressburg straight up, I think this is the deal that makes the most sense. If we try to send it, it's rejected right now, so I think it will take a little bit of value. Essentially, we could actually, if we look at our picks next year, could I send you a 5th? I think the value's a little bit in our favor there. And take back a 7th. A 5th for a 7th here? No. So I think they would do a 5th straight up. So essentially, do I want to trade a 4th for a 7th, or just trade a 5th? Trading out one pick or moving down in our picks. I'd rather move down and keep the 7th for more trade versatility. So Esh and a 4th in 2034 in next year's draft, for Pressburg and a 7th in 2034 to make the storyline work for all this. And just double checking, of course, in Coachella Valley, they need a goalie down there. So they have Montembeault and so this guy Barteco would not be playing, that's no problem. And I think this works out. Seattle, what do you say to this? Okay, trade accepted. Thank you very much. Johan Pressburg, welcome to the organization. I didn't look super deep at his stats. We just looked at his ice time. But if we go down right here, he joins our organization as someone who was already drafted 7th overall last year. Major problems in the Kraken organization, and put on the trade block for all those reasons. 12 points in 49 games as a 17-year-old playing in the SHL. And this year, 10 points in 31 games in the AHL. Not horrible, but only an 845 of ice time. Let's get him first-line minutes in the AHL for the rest of this year and see how it works out. Even if he doesn't become the most impressive prospect, we weren't trading the most impressive prospect away ourselves in Esh. So 72 overall, he's a right-wing playmaker. Attributes are pretty well-rounded, nothing that really stands out to me. Let's just hope for some steady development from the... Is he also Swedish? Yes, he is, from the Swedish right-winger who's going to be coming to Abbotsford. And another point to consider is that he would be another Swedish player in our organization as we're slowly building Team Sweden here in Vancouver. So apologies if you wanted to get the first-round pick instead, but like I said, Esh, a 1st and a 2nd for a 1st in a low draft, versus, let's just give Esh for Pressburg, get a guaranteed guy who was drafted top 10 with top 10 value last year, already on a faster timeline, and we can still keep our picks to potentially make a trade up in this upcoming draft if we see somebody that we really want. So there you go. And finishing off the comments from Gavin, the last one we want to look at after having just made that trade, Gavin said, good to see the team getting out of the early season funk. However, there's no way we can keep up this pace with our top two D-men playing like this. Hughes especially. I think it would be a good idea to give Hronek, Kravchenko, and Wallace a 5-game trial each playing with Hughes to see who's the best fit. He's arguably our most important player, and we need him at the top of our game, or at top of his game as well. Also good to see that our third-line center problems may be solved with the long-awaited arrival of Tom Goldman, who's finally scoring at a 40-plus point pace. Have a good day, Data, and see you in the second half. Go Nucks. Thank you, Gavin. So yes, now getting more back to the lineup thoughts. When it comes to defense, we can't keep Hughes and Dobson together any longer. Dobson needs to go back to where he had the most success, which was on the second pair. But now the question becomes, who is Quinn Hughes' long-term line mate, or defensive pair mate, whatever you want to call it? Yes, Quinn Hughes is 33, but he's still 92 overall. He still has a lot of good seasons left in him. So we're going to do exactly what Gavin said. We know that he's good with Hronek, but what I really want to see is how he does with the defensive defenseman and Ruslan Kravchenko, who's been a great surprise for us so far. So we're going to go Dobson and Wallace on the second pair, continuing to have their +1. We lose chemistry on the top pair, the +4 that they had, that Dobson gave the line. But I'm going to try to give, let's go 5 games, keeping track of what these players have at this moment. 38 games, 7 goals, 5 assists, +19 for Kravchenko, and 30 games, 4 goals, 10 assists, +3 for Quinn Hughes. We're going to take note of that, play 5 games, and see what kind of impact that has on their individual stats. As Cheating Heels comment says, we'll continue to think about a depth defenseman or a veteran forward closer to the deadline. But for now, that was a trade we wanted to make. Let me just update the AHL lines. Yeah, I definitely got to do that with Pressburg here. So they'll go from looking like this to looking like this. Johan Pressburg, welcome to Abbotsford. Let's see how he does on the top line with Zykov and Arcabello. All right, so there are the lines all fixed up. Let's start our 5-game experiment with the Hughes and Kravchenko first pair, simulating up to the first game here against the Minnesota Wild. Zykov fully healed, very good, exactly what I was waiting for. Arcabello, Wesley, and a 5th for Lucas Raymond. This was one of our major questions as well from last episode. Do we go after making a big splash on Lucas Raymond? If we did, it would be to move out a guy who's on like a 65-plus point pace. Would that make as much sense for an expiring contract? As tempting as it would be to bring another Swedish player right here, right now, I'm not so convinced. On pace for 54 wins, which would be the second most through our 10 years with Vancouver so far. Let's see how the second half goes compared to a 27-11-3 first half. Kicking it off for game number 42 here against the Minnesota Wild in Minnesota. First period, 3-0 Wild to kick it off. You love to see it. Boqvist, Height, and Hunt. Shots 17-14. That was a lot of shots on both sides through 20 minutes. Second period, 4-1 goal apiece as Lundqvist scores on the power play, and Yurov restores the 3-goal lead. Outshot 31-26 and down by 3 here in the third period. We have 1 power play goal, 0 even strength. Haltinen makes it 5-1. All right, let's end it 7-2 the final. Hey, Quinn Hughes scores, and we lose 7-2. Oh my goodness. -4 from the fourth line, 3 third liners all go -4. Ridiculous. Kravchenko -2, Hughes 1 goal -1. Wow, what an ugly start to the second half. Very ugly, yeah? Yeah, as good as his third line has been plus-minus wise, something has to change here. +6, +11, +3, yes, I understand. +1, +3, I'm going to swap Dominguez and Podkolzin and make it +2, +2. That's how disgusting that performance was. That is ridiculous. So, all right, let's keep on rolling. Let's see if we can win the second game of this back-to-back here on the road. We were in Minnesota against a winning team. Now we're in Winnipeg against a losing team, the 16-22-1 Jets. This will be our last game before we do more calendar simulation, but keeping track of the 5-game experiment that we're doing with Hughes and Kravchenko as well. 2-0 Canucks to start it off. Dominguez scores on that first game down on the fourth. A little bit of a fire lit within him, and Pettersson scores on the power play against Shesterkin there in Winnipeg. Second period, 3-1. Kreider scores for the Jets on Rainer Muller, starting this back-to-back. And then Christian Wallace playing with Noah Dobson gets a goal. Very nice. 3-1, let's go through it. Ah, no, Sanderson and Connor, including a goal from Kyle Connor with 25 seconds left. Shots end 35-33 in our favor. We're off to overtime. 3-3 game. Don't tell me we choked this. Oh, come on! Heidel scores as Rainer Muller allows a goal, 25 seconds left, and then the OT winner. We had it in the bag from up 3-1 to losing 4-3. Oh my goodness. Plus minuses in this one. Kravchenko -1, Hughes -1, no points there. Oh my goodness. All right, let's just finish the 3 more games of the 5-game experiment. Getting to the calendar. That was 2, 3, 4, and 5 against the Kraken. We'll finish off against Seattle and then get a little update on the defensive pairing. 7-4 win, so let's stay in the calendar. 7-4 win there against the Sharks. 5-2 win against the Avalanche, very good. And then a 3-2 win against the Kraken. All right, let's stay in the sim. So 3-1-1 in the 5 games with that change on the first defensive pair. We are 30-12-4. And if we check out the numbers here, Quinn Hughes had 4 goals and 10 assists as a +3. 6 goals, 14 assists as a +3. So 2 goals and 4 assists, 6 points in 5 games. That's pretty solid. Plus minus didn't change. While Kravchenko had 7 goals, 5 assists, +19. 2 assists and a +1 in those 5 games for Kravchenko. So you know what? Let's do 5 more. Let's do 5 more games like that. And Wallace and Dobson don't seem to be too bad either. It really is that top pair that I'm the most worried about. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Let's do 5 more games, and we'll take a second to pause against the Sabres. And actually, no, I miscounted. That's and Perezhoga injured in the AHL. Okay, head coach replaced. So that's 2, then 3, 4, then 5 would be against the Rangers. Sorry. So 5-2 win, 4-1 loss, 5-4 shootout loss, 7-1 win, and a 7-3 win. All right. So now in those 10 games since making the changes, we are 6-2-2, I believe, if I'm counting right. Maybe it's a bit too late for my Android brain, but I think we're 6-2-2 since making the changes. 69 points in 51 games now from Markstrom as well. And if we check Quinn Hughes, now 8 goals, 19 assists. So in the last 10 games, 4 goals and 9 assists. And a +7 in the last 10 games, while Kravchenko, him too, he had 7 goals. So that's 3 goals and 5 assists as a +7 in 10 games. So you know what? We're not touching anything. Hughes and Kravchenko, maybe that's the future. What a gem that may have been in finding Ruslan Kravchenko as a 6th round pick. Let's keep on rolling. 10 games since we started here in the second half. No need to stop there. I think we're content enough to at least give them a large chunk of games. Not that much. We have a week off coming up here, then the deadline's in a month. But let's just simulate and see what happens. It was a long intro. Let's just get into it. 4-3 loss, then a 2-1 win for a couple games on the road in an Eastern Conference swing against the Flyers and Sabres respectively. Fix up the lineup here in the AHL. I'm also just curious how Pressburg is doing here with first line minutes. 5 points in 12 games, so half as many points and almost a third of the number of games here, playing a ton of minutes as well. Pressburg is. So it's also not the greatest situation playing, yes, with a sniper, but also with a grinder in Arcabello, but already that's better from Pressburg. Let's keep on rolling here. No thank you, Carolina. 5-3 loss there against the Sabres after we had just beaten them 2-1. 6-2 loss against the Kraken. 5-4 win. There you go. Back-to-back here. 5-4 overtime loss and a 3-1 loss. 4-2 loss. Woo. Okay, 4-1 win. Let's take a pause here for the Eastern Conference. We're going to have, actually, maybe, yeah, let's go see the Maple Leafs, actually. We'll sim through the Senators as the trade deadline is coming up. 5-3 win against Ottawa. We are 37-18-6 coming up to face the 31-23-5 Toronto Maple Leafs, hosting them here in Vancouver, looking for our 38th win. First period, 4-1 Canucks. Great start right there. A couple on the power, 3 on the power play, actually. Lekaramaki, Pettersson, and Arvidsson, 3 power play goals before Bjorn Fott scores. Dominguez with 6 seconds left, another slow sim goal from the 4th liner. Second period, 4-2, a goal there from Austin Matthews. Shots 21-18 in our favor. We're up by 2, make it up by 3. Atu Rocket Ratu, giving us the 3-goal lead. Tiyukun makes it 6-2. All right, so the changes in the bottom 6 seem to also be helpful, in addition to the changes in the top 4 defense. Power play Canucks goes nowhere. Zary scores to cut our lead back down to 3, but we're still up with about 5 minutes to go here. Shots 33-22 into the final 5 minutes. Power play to end the game, and Tippett gets 1 more on the power play. Canucks win 7-3. You love to see it. 3 stars in this one, Arvidsson and Pettersson, and even Ratu, excuse me, all with a goal and 2 assists, getting 1st, 2nd, and 3rd stars, respectively. All right, so we're headed into the trade deadline now. Do we play? No, I won't play the game against or go through the game against the Panthers, just in case it brings us to then have to make decisions about the slows. Do you want to go into the trade deadline mini game, etc., etc. But here, approaching the deadline, we are 38-18-6, and I'm very curious to see where that puts us in the entire NHL. We were 2nd in the league at the halfway point, 2nd only to Vegas, as they also lead the Pacific Division. Same thing, yeah, exactly the same thing. Our goals for went from 4.17 to 4.08, it's not a big change there, and our goals against was at 3.05, now at 3.18, so that's increased slightly, while our goals for has decreased slightly. Our power play was also at 30.2%, very high, probably unsustainable, but no, 30.6 is our power play, so great to see that that stayed high. And our penalty kill is at 83.8, a bit low for my liking, not horrible. 83.2, yeah, again, not horrible, just a bit low for my liking, but it's actually pretty typical when it comes to franchise mode. So here we are at not the halfway point, but at the deadline after playing about 60 games, 79 points from Markstrom, Lundqvist also at 72, 44 goals in 59 games. What is this man eating? Lekaramaki 69, Pettersson 65. That's 4 point per game plus players. I don't think I see really much reason to do anything with this lineup. I had even forgotten that we have Hendrix Lapierre as a depth forward, so I don't know if we really need to bring in another veteran. Quinn Hughes in the end, he had 14 points in 30 games. So in the past 21 games, he has scored 4 goals and 14 assists for 18 points. 18 points in 21 games. The pace slowed down a little bit, but still much higher than what he was at with 14 and 30. Also a plus 10, he was a plus 3, so he's been a plus 7 in the last 21 games as well. Arvidsson has 30 points, that's really cool to see. Hronik 27, Sador 27, Dobson 26, okay. Tupkin, 16 goals, 24 points. Dominguez, 24. Goldman, he really slowed down. He was on... what has Goldman done? Goldman was close to a 40-point pace, was he not? Has he scored like 3 points in the last 20 games after scoring 20 points in the first half? That's crazy. Montoya 22, Kravchenko 20. So Kravchenko at 38 games played. So now, yes, also 21 games played for him. 2 goals and 6 assists, 7 points from him, and a plus 6. He's at a plus 25 with 20 points. Yeah, I'm happy to keep that pair together. But Cole's 11 points, negative 4. Quint hasn't played, neither has Beaulieu. And Hunter Jones, 28, 15, and 4. Not the greatest numbers. His numbers have gone down. Hunter Jones. Oh, yeah. But again, I'm not sure if I see much reason to do much. The top 6 has been carrying us. That's what's most important. AHL, just want to quickly take a little peek at Prestberg. He's turned it around. Or not turned around, but he has improved from the pace that he looked to be on. 14 assists in 24 games, a true playmaker. So I'm sure he's much happier as well with the ice times. He's now getting 21 per night. Very good from Johan Prestberg. And we're 40, 11, and 1 here in the AHL. But I still do wonder if the bottom 6 could use some sort of support. I don't know. Is it in a more reliable scoring third-line center? Hendrix Lapierre is good depth for the forwards. As a 78 overall two-way forward. 4.5-star puck skills, well-rounded enough, good skating, solid enough on the face-offs. But if I were to say I want like some sort of expiring UFA 83, 84 overall third line center, I don't think that would be crazy, especially how Tom Goldman has just fallen off a cliff in the second half of the season here. Signed on for one more year after this one at $1.5 million. He fits the lines well. Maybe he needs to go back to being fourth line center, and someone like, I don't know, one of these other 5 of the bottom 6 comes out. I don't know, does Podkolzin become a healthy scratch when we bring him back in the playoffs? I mean, 11 points, negative 4. He's not really doing much up here in a third-line role. I don't know, but at the very least, I'll do my due diligence and check the trade blocks around the NHL to see who's available here headed into the deadline. All right, due diligence complete, and with the criteria that we've set for ourselves, looking for an expiring veteran, someone who could be third-line center, considering what kind of team that would have to be with, I think this is a very interesting possibility. The Buffalo Sabres are 26, 28, and 6. They're below 500 here headed into the deadline, and we look at their center depth. They have Tage Thompson on the block, 83 overall, 35 years old, expiring $10.39 million deal. Thompson has been a monster for the Sabres franchise. He's scored 100 plus points before. He's been a consistent 65 to 75 plus point player. This year on a bad Sabres team, he has 38 points in 60 games. Still not too bad as a negative 11 as well, while averaging less and less ice time every season. Now this year under 17 minutes per night. So 38 and 60, not the end of the world. It's a 52 point pace, but again, taking context into account, Tage Thompson would be a very interesting acquisition for us. Now, having to go back the other way would likely have to be a roster player, as if I want to throw in some sort of a draft pick, although I'm not sure why. It says we have $100 million as our cap hit, so like $6.5 million of cap space, but taking on the $10 million of Tage Thompson is not a problem. I didn't know the game was as advanced as it was to consider how much of the season has gone by and how much it would apply to your caps and stuff like that. But it seems to be enough that if I were to give a little bit of money back the other way, like let's say Tom Goldman, is, sorry, it's back up here. Tom Goldman at $1.5 million would allow the deal to go through. So, although we weren't looking to shop Goldman, we thought that he could be our long-term, at the very least, fourth-line center, maybe even up to third-line center. He was on a 42-point pace at the halfway point, but in the last 21 games, he scored 3 points. And that third line has maybe not been really struggling, but we need to have some depth scoring so that if we're having to some sort of struggle in the top 6 come the postseason, we're not going to be up the creek because the bottom 6 has no offense. So Tom Goldman heading out is unfortunate. He was going to be our long-term fourth-line center, even though he never really worked out as a second-round pick with top 6 potential. I was happy to keep him as a fourth-line center into the future. But there are other players in this organization who want to make this team, namely a couple of centermen like Zykov and Perezogan. So Goldman moving out in a deal that would bring in Tage Thompson, it might even be a one-for-one. Maybe we take back a pick as well. But I think this is the move. I threw it over in the Discord server and without saying that it was Tage Thompson, and people are pretty excited about it. So if we could say, let's try first Tage Thompson and a fourth. The Sabres, despite being below 500, are conservative buyers with Thompson on the block. So Goldman, he has term, he's affordable, he has shown the ability to be a 40-plus point player. Maybe given better opportunities in Buffalo, he can get there. Thompson and a fourth, what do you say here, Buffalo? No, makes sense, the value's not really there. Straight up is probably the best we could get. So I'm going to try to squeeze a seventh out of it. No, not even, eh? Straight up, what do you say, Buffalo? Still a bit off in value. Fair enough. He is an 83 overall. So I think we have, is it a couple sevens next year? Yeah, so I'll trade you Boston's seventh, I suppose. They're a bit of a fringe team. No, but I think actually Seattle's better. So could I give you Seattle's seventh next year? Could I take back a seventh this year? Sometimes the game is funny like that. If I take back a seventh this season for a seventh next year, no. So I'll just go ahead and send it to you right there. Trade accepted. Not too much deliberating about this one. I think Buffalo fans will think we came out okay. Thank you. Whatever helps you sleep. Tage Thompson, welcome to Vancouver. As we bring in a big piece, literally at 6'6", and hopefully he'll be a bit of the answer we're looking for in that bottom 6 offense. So it'll allow us to put Sador back as fourth line center, even though he's a winger. He does have 77 faceoffs. And then Tage Thompson can slot right in as third-line center, plus we've given some power play and whatnot. He has a very good second-line fit, actually, so if needed... no, still be a +1 everywhere. So Tage Thompson with Podkolzin and Tupkin to start off will continue towards the end of the year as our third-line center. Maybe we can give him some special teams, we said? For the now 35-year-old, the first unit power play is pretty good. We're at 30%, right? So it's hard to really change anything about this power play. Maybe Junior Sador comes out. He needs his ice time, though, being fourth line. 6 power play points on the year, playing 10-24 per night. For example, how many points does Arvidsson have? 7 power play points. Karamaki 14, Ratu 13. So, I don't know. Sador needs the ice time, but Thompson's the better player. Big 6'6" frame at the blue line, right-handed shot. I think, we gave Sador 62 games on the power play. We'll go 20 more with Thompson on the power play. All right, so Thompson, third-line center, second unit power play. Let's run it and see what happens. I'll throw him on some of the 3-on-3 lines as well, but he's probably already on them as he was just replacing Goldman. And just a quick goodbye to Tom Goldman, our second-round back in, when was it? Back in 2027, 37th overall. Drafted as what, like a 79, 78 overall. Grew to 80, never going to get any more than that, unfortunately. 390 games played as a Canuck, 58 goals, 69 assists, 127 points, a +11, and in the playoffs, 18 points across 52 games for 3 postseason berths. Tommy, we wish you all the best. Good luck in Buffalo. A good team. The Sabres have been a very good team. Not so much this year, but hopefully you can be a part of something for them moving forward. Let me just double check the lines, and we'll get ready to go. All right, and we're all set. Tage Thompson, welcome to Vancouver, making his Canucks debut at home at Rogers Arena. Third line center, second unit power play. We'll go through this game, then the trade deadline. Third unit penalty kill, some of the 4-on-4 lines, 3-on-3 unit number 3. Let's do it, facing off here against the Florida Panthers. First period, 2-2 game to start it off. Lundell opens it up, Tippett ties it. Wellwood makes it 2-1 within the first 6 minutes there. Then Lundqvist with his 45th goal ties it at 2. Second period, 5-2 Canucks. There we go. Tage Thompson in his Canucks debut against Leonov. Former Canuck Leonov, correct? Lundqvist, Pettersson shorthanded, and Tage Thompson in his Canucks Canucks debut, making it 5-2 Vancouver. Power play Canucks to start the third period. That's killed off by the Panthers. 3-goal game, 5 minutes into the third. Will that be enough for this last game before the deadline? Pettersson makes it 6. Let's call it there. Extra point is good. 7-2 the final. Tage Thompson, a 2-goal night in his Canucks debut, giving him, no stars, unfortunately, as Pettersson gets first star with 2 goals and 1 assist. Tippett a goal and 2 assists, and Lundqvist with 2 goals gets him the third star. 7-2 Vancouver the final. I'm very happy with that addition right there. We needed that bottom 6 scoring, or at least third line scoring, if the fourth line isn't going to be needed as much, or just we shouldn't count on them as much. But the third line needs to contribute. That's what we're looking for. Vegas getting a blockbuster from San Jose. Eklund and Klang for a first, a fourth, and Schroeder, I think that was a first, and McCammon for actually Jimmy Snugger going to the Montreal Canadiens. Not sure why the Blues traded him. Warren Fogle on waivers. We have Hendricks Lapierre, but 80 overall, 900K. This wouldn't be a crazy pickup here. Warren Fogle, but we do already have Beaulieu in addition to Lapierre. So it just probably wouldn't make a ton of sense. We're tight on cap as well with Thompson coming in. So we'll probably just go ahead and decline that, even though I would usually say yes to an 80 overall on waivers. All right, so through the deadline, let's see what happened around the league. Thompson trade for us, of course. Jérémy Poirier going to the Kraken. Eklund going to Vegas, like we saw. Snugger to the Canadiens. Yamamoto to the Coyotes. Comtois to the Oilers. Seamus Casey reacquired by the Devils. A first and a prospect going to the Hurricanes. Alrighty. So there's the trade deadline. Nice win for us as we were just headed into it. And now we can get back to the calendar. The best team coming up is probably the Wild, who are currently 34-20-8. Let's them about a couple of weeks or a week and a half and go see them. 5-1 loss against the Blackhawks, then a 6-5 win and a 5-2 win. 4-0 shutout against the Sharks, very good. Bunch of little things happening in Abbotsford. 6-2 loss against the Kings. Oh my goodness, the amount of injuries. Mild concussion for Kravchenko. That's not good. Oh boy, Quinn Hughes' partner on the first pair. At least for right now, we can just go ahead and promote Hronik in a pinch. That's not a huge issue. But long term, who's going to be that backup to play with Quinn Hughes if there's an injury, right? So that does bring in Franklin Quint back to the lineup. He'll play third pair with Arvidsson, and we'll go from there. Thankfully, not super long for a concussion. It's not super long, only about a couple of weeks. 4-3 overtime loss against the Kings. We are 42-20-7, facing the 37-22-8 Wild here at home in Vancouver to host the Wild. First period, 2-1 Minnesota. Kaprizov, then Wallace ties it, but Haltonen right after. Second period, 4-2. The exact same kind of period. Hunt, then Dominguez, then Addison adds on. Kalen Addison back in Minnesota. Shots are 27-25 in our favor, but we're down by 2 headed into the third period against a good Minnesota squad. 5 minutes in, still down by 2. The shots are coming. We're still leading by just a bit, but the Wild now lead actually as we've relented a little bit. We've slowed down. Power play opportunity for us though. Killed off, and that'll likely be all she wrote. One more chance. Not enough as we drop it 4-2, despite outshooting Minnesota 40-33. Alrighty, so let's keep moving on to where Kravchenko will come back. He should be back for the game against the Coyotes here. Also a good team, 1 away from 40, so that's another game we'll want to go see anyways. 6-5 win and a mild concussion for Tage Thompson, who's out until April 7th. Okay, so Sador will slot up, and Hendricks Lapierre will come in as fourth line center. That's what we'll do here. Exclamation point, you go and check it out, and then I don't know. I say replacement all lines. What does it mean? What does it mean? I guess let's put Dominguez. Why not? Dominguez can come in on the power play for a little bit. And then now the calendar's all messed up. Back out. There we go. Okay, so tough 6-2 loss, but then 7-1 win and 4-0 win. Outscoring the Oilers 11-1 over 2 games there, home and away. 45-22-7 is our record now to face the Coyotes, who are 42-29-3. Got to advance one more day. There you go. After this game, we should have Kravchenko back for the game against the Islanders. Can we hit 50 wins? That'll be the question. First period, 2-0 Coyotes. Second period, all right, 3-3. Markstrom, then Pettersson on the power play. Kachuk puts the Coyotes up 3-2, but then Lekharmaki ties it. 3-3 headed into the third and final period, where every game counts. Let's go! Quinn Hughes puts us up. The captain makes it 4-3. Power play Vancouver, killed off by the Coyotes. Trying to hold on one more chance. 5-on-3 now. Killed off once more by Arizona, or should I say Utah at this point. Power play Coyotes, or Yetis, killed off by the Canucks. 3 minutes to go, hanging on to the 1-goal lead by the captain. Is it enough with 7 seconds left? Yes, it is. Quinn Hughes gives us the winner despite being outshot 37-35, and we win 4-3 the final. Karamaki and Markstrom a goal and an assist apiece, and the captain gets the game winner. Okay, so we should see Kravchenko back for this game against the Islanders, advancing a day, and there we go. So let's edit up the lines. Kravchenko back in there, very good. That leaves us with how many games left in the season? 2, 4, 6, 7 games left. If we can win 4 out of 7, that'll get us to 50. But even if we win all 7, we'll fall just short of our 54 win pace, the halfway point. Regardless, let's keep on moving. Tage Thompson should be back for the game against Dallas, so we'll sim up until that one. Hosting the Islanders, and we lose 7-4. Hunter Jones, man, you are killing me. To end the season, I might go Rainer Muller to end the season. This is ridiculous. The guy's an .897 save percentage. I called him our rock. 3.26 goals against average. He's been consistently not good. Rainer Muller, I'm going to give you a few starts in a row to end the season. Come on now. Hendrix Lapierre, 1 assist and a +1 across 3 games. Very good. Tage Thompson will return to the lineup and take his spot back on power play 2. There we go. I look forward to checking out his numbers at the end of this season. Going up for the game against Dallas. Injury down in the AHL. Blah, blah, blah. Okay, so 7-4 loss. Yeah, let me just turn off auto goalie rotate. As even though there's a couple back-to-backs coming up, we're going to be going heavy on Rainer Muller. See if he can handle the stress load of being the starter with a lot of pressure on a championship caliber team. All right, so let's work through it, starting with the game against Dallas. They're 40-26-10. Rainer Muller, it's a 4-3 shootout loss. On the road against Nashville, Tage Thompson, mild concussion again. Comes back, fully healed, mild concussion once more. That's not good. Thankfully, only to April 16th, which is just around the corner, but that is unfortunate. Let me guess the same thing. Replace in all lines. Here to substitute in all lines, but oh, there's that exclamation point for the power play. Ridiculous. Okay. 5-4 overtime win. One more here on the road against Minnesota. 4-1 loss. Alexandrov injured in the A. Man, the injuries just keep coming over here. Oh my goodness. Sorry, by the way, 100 points for Stefan Markstrom here with 3 games to go. As frustrated as I've been getting, we got to give big kudos to him. Of course, also we've clinched the playoffs at this point. 3 games to go on the road in in Anaheim. 12-4 win. 4-point night from Markstrom. There's the bounce back performance we were looking for. 1 more game from Muller, and Tage Thompson's fully healthy, very good. 1 more game, 4-3 shootout win, all right. And I'll give Hunter Jones the chance to get win number 50 to end the season. With Tage Thompson back in the lineup, Rainer Muller ends with a .903 save percentage, 3.01 goals against. Hunter Jones trying to go for 50. Here we go. Facing the 52-24-5 Seattle Kraken, a tough matchup to try to get win number 50. But this is the final game of year number 10. Let's do it. First period, 0-0. Shots 10-7 Seattle. Second period, 2-2 game. Martone opens it up. Pettersson on the power play ties it. Poirier on the power play puts Seattle back up. And then Tippett on the power play ties it once more. So 3 power play goals. 2-2 game. Shots 26-16 for the Kraken through 40. Karamaki puts us up 3-2, scoring there on Devin Levi. We have a 1-goal lead despite being outshot by quite a bit here in the third period. At home in front of the fans, trying to get win number 50. I think it would be maybe a 4th time. Tommy Novak ties it at 3. I'll check the numbers on that in just a moment. Power play Vancouver late. That's killed off by Seattle. Will we see overtime, or is there a late hero with a minute 20 to go? Final 30 seconds. We will see overtime. Shots end 41-30 for the Kraken, and we're going to 3-on-3 action. Get ready for some ugly AI action. 3-on-3 overtime in Vancouver. A goal for us gives us our 3rd 50-plus win season through 10 years in Vancouver. Quinn Hughes moving in. Lundqvist scores! An early one! Philip Lundqvist ends it early on the first shot of overtime. And we officially finish year number 10 with 50 wins, doing so for the 3rd time in our 10 seasons with Vancouver. Hunter Jones gets us that 50th win, and it's Philip Lundqvist. Who knows what goal that was? Number 50-something, maybe even 60-something. Sorry, Philip, what am I saying? I'm thinking Philip Gustafsson so much because today in trade history, when I'm recording, Gustafsson got traded for Cam Talbot. We were talking about that in the Discord server. Frederick Lundqvist, oh my goodness, my deepest apologies. Frederick Lundqvist ends it early in overtime to give us win number 50 in front of the home fans. I can't speak. It's past midnight. My sincerest apologies. The captain gets over to Frederick Lundqvist, and we win it. Shots end 41-31 for Seattle, but we take it 4-3 in overtime. So let's check out those final numbers now. We didn't finish with the 54 wins that we were on pace for at the start of the year. No President's, or at the halfway point, I should say. No President's Trophy, but we did maintain second place in the NHL as we were at the halfway point. Just a couple points back of the Kraken, who we just beat in the last game of the season. The top three teams in the NHL coming from the West. 50, 24, and 8 was the record. 4.12 goals for per game. 3.27 against. Yeah, that was not pretty. One of the higher ones in the league, especially amongst the better teams. Actually, technically amongst the lower half, but yeah, still. Power play ends at 29.5% to lead the NHL by quite a fair margin, dropping just below 30%. And penalty kill ends at 81.7. Eesh, yeah, not ideal. It continued to go down further and further into the 82s, now finishing at the 81s. 81.7, not horrible, but not quite ideal. As we go 7-2-1 in our last 10 games to end the season. Our home record much better than our away record. And there you have it. Points now. Stefan Markstrom, he was on pace to finish below 100. He finishes with 107 points. The Swedish Chef and Fredrik Lundqvist. That was his 60th goal to win in overtime. What a story. What a story just looking at some of these numbers here, ladies and gentlemen. Stefan Markstrom with 91 assists. 107 points, a plus 30, career highs from the Swedish Chef, the Silver Surfer. He has a silver afro, a plus 30, 27 power play points, a career high in ice time as well at 22-19. What a season from the former first overall pick. Disrespected in Montreal, but found new life here in Vancouver. Incredible story for him at just 25 years of age. Fredrik Lundqvist, playing in 79 games, scores 60 goals and 97 points in his fourth NHL season. Not as many points as last year, but a new career high in goals every year more and more. 43, 50, 54, and now a 60-goal season from the 21-year-old Swede in the first year of his big $12 million per season extension, 12/8 contract. Next up, Elias Pettersson, the 34-year-old, scores 94 points. Is that a career high? No. The second best statistical season of his career. 94 points, 30 goals, and 64 assists. 34 years of age and just getting better with time. 30 power play points, even lower than in ice. The lowest amount of ice time he's had, a career low in ice time. But the second best statistical season of his career at 94 points. Take a bow, Elias. Well done. 93 overall. Jonathan Lekkerimäki, despite top 9 potential and only being an 86 overall, a career high 93 points from him. 37 goals and 56 assists. 438 points in his career as a Canuck. I love it. I don't know what to say about this guy. I love these players who aren't the flashiest overalls, but you give them the ice time, you give them the line mates, and they perform. That's 4 consecutive 69-plus point seasons. And now officially point per game plus up to 93 for the first time in his career. The former 15th overall pick in 2022. So glad that he's worked out like this. Now the offense takes a little bit of a dip after that, but I'm still happy to see 69 points from Aatu Räty. Is that a career high for him? Yes, it is. Career high from Aatu Räty. Crazy. Quietly putting up career high numbers. A quiet 69-point season from Rocket Räty. So proud of this guy. Future Data 782 Hall of Fame nominee. Aatu, buddy, well done. Owen Tippett behind the scenes as well. 36 goals and 68 points. We were considering trading him in the offseason after his down season of 44 points. How does he answer it back? Oh, I don't know. Career high in goals. 36 for him. Tying his career high in points as well at 68. Take a bow, Owen. Well done. He has put the haters behind him, and at 34 years of age, no less. Signed on for 2 more years. Quinn Hughes now, he did turn it around. He ended up scoring 44 points in the final 41 games, which would be an 88-point pace, so I got to give it to him. Very slow first half, but a great second half from Quinn Hughes. Still not his best season at 58 points, but when you consider the second half, it gives me hope for the future with Kravchenko, who's a plus 18 as well. The captain looked good in the end. Now, Tage Thompson, I'm very excited to see these totals from Tage. 10 points in 14 games, even plus minus. We brought him in to drive some offense, and that is what he's done. Too bad for some of the injuries, but he's fully healthy headed into the playoffs now. Great stuff from Tage. Doing so in only 12 minutes of ice time per night to boot. Well done. Very good. Christian Wallace. Ooh. Christian Wallace really slowed down, eh? He was on a 54-point pace with Kravchenko, so Kravchenko seems to be the X factor. Put him with Noah Dobson, he ends with 38. Just 11 points in that second half on a 22-point pace. So 27 points in the first half on a 54-point pace, and then just 11 in the second half on a 22-point pace. Still ending with 38 points, still a plus 27, still eating huge minutes. So those are all pluses, but it's too bad he was on a 54-point pace and he ends with 38. Too bad. All right, next up, Marian Tubkin, 22 goals and 36 points from him. Stefan Arvidsson, 36 points and a plus 11. Another guy who had a slower second half, I think. Philip Hronek, 34 points and a plus 18 from the 35-year-old. He is unstoppable. Noah Dobson ends with 32 points. So still not the greatest second half from him. Keep in mind, he signed on for 3 more years at $11.15 million, and he was signed on as a guy who could be 60, 70 points. If he's going to be a 30, 40-point guy, we're going to have to start rethinking some things. Maybe we'll give him a full season with Wallace next year, see what happens, but yeah, I'm a bit skeptical, all right? Junior Sidor ends with 31 points in his rookie season. For an 80 overall depth forward, yeah, we can take that, playing 10-14 per night only as well. Junior Sidor, not too shabby. Dorian Dominguez, 17 goals and 29 points in his rookie season. Montoya in his sophomore season, 29 points. But again, consider the ice time, right? Give these guys more ice time. Give them a solid middle six role. What could they have done? It's definitely a question to consider. Kravchenko, 20 points and a plus 28 in the rookie season of the 6th overall pick in 2029. Medium elite, now up to an 82 overall. Love this man. Ruslan Kravchenko. I see a great future for this guy. Future Data 72 Hall of Fame nominee, potentially. I don't know. Kravchenko, keep it up, buddy. Podkolzin ends with 15 points. Not a great year from him. Quint, 8 in 28. Lapierre, 2 assists in 6 games that he played. Beaulieu, 1 assist in the 5 games that he played. But yeah, Podkolzin, man, he's usually good for 20 plus. 30 points last season. This year, just 15. And his ice time wasn't any different, really. So Podkolzin, yeah, slowing down a little bit. Goaltending now, big question mark. Big question mark. Hunter Jones went 35, 19, and 5. 3 shutouts, 898 save percentage, 3.25 goals against. While Rainer Muller appeared in 27 games, way more than you would think for your typical backup. 15, 6, and 3 was his record. 2 shutouts, 903 save percentage, 3.01 goals against. Hunter Jones, notorious for being a monster in the postseason. But I don't know. Can we trust him after that regular season? The last couple of years have been incredible. Actually, if you just minus these 4 games in 2030, his all-time playoff numbers are ridiculous, including the greatest postseason in NHL history, when he had 8 shutouts across 16 wins to win the Stanley Cup in 2028. But it's still a bit of a question mark, I gotta admit. Rainer Muller, did he have some playoff experience last year? He did. 3 appearances, going 2-1, 932 save percentage, and 1.76 goals against. So Rainer Muller, do we find ourselves turning to him potentially? Looking across the entire NHL, if you're curious, Brendan McLeod, 119 points, led the league. Goal scoring, David Pastrnak with 66 goals at 36 years of age in Seattle. Wow. So Lundqvist, 60 goals, not good enough to win him the Rocket, as he is going to be first runner-up to 36-year-old David Pastrnak, who turns back the clock. That's crazy. Markstrom finishes 4th, by the way, in AHL scoring with 107 points, but by far, well, not even by that far, but by 11 assists, number 1 in the NHL with the assists at 91. Truly outstanding, and that has to be a franchise record, right? If we look just at Vancouver, so Pettersson's franchise records for goals and points continues to be extended, but single season, yeah, Markstrom's single season assists at 91, a new franchise record. Anything for rookie, anything new? No. Or single game? No. Nothing new there for the other records. But a new franchise record for most assists in a season for Stefan Markstrom. Also looking at goalies in the NHL, Devin Levi with most wins at 44. And if we look at, let's say, minimum 50 games played, save percentage, yeah, tough numbers. Like the best goalies in the league, there are only 4 goalies who had a 9-10 save percentage or higher. So keep that in consideration when critiquing Hunter Jones as well. And for goals against average, only 5 goalies in the entire NHL with a goals against average below 3. Again, keep that in consideration when critiquing the goaltending. And if you're curious, of course, we gotta check out how Tom Goldman did over in Buffalo. Let's see the incredible points that he had, right? 8 points in 18 games, more than he had in the second half through those 20 games in the second half for us. Plus 12 with the Sabres playing only 8-12 of ice time. It doesn't make sense. Make it make sense, EA. All right, so let's start advancing forward to our round 1 opponent. Who will we be facing in round number 1 of the 2033 postseason? Year number 10, we'll be taking on Alexandrov, back to full health, very good. The Vegas Golden Knights, who finished 47, 29, and 6. Tough matchup coming up. They were just right behind us in the division, I believe. That's right, and they were number 1 in the NHL at the halfway point. Oh boy, that's going to be a tough first round matchup. We've made the postseason 8 times through our last 9 seasons, and we've only faced Vegas once. It was another round 1 matchup, facing them in round number 1 of year number 2. We beat them in 7 games and went on to lose in the conference final to Winnipeg, it was. So Vegas' lines here in 2033, definitely pretty different. Jack Eichel's still here, though, at 36 years of age. Francis Forbes, 91 overall with low franchise potential. The 3rd overall pick of 2028. He's a playmaker. Playing with 91 overall, Jack Eichel, and Victor Eklund, who they drafted 13th overall in 2025. Actually, know who Minnesota drafted, now they have on the team here. Huutonen, William Eklund. So the Eklund brothers, actually, funnily enough, yeah, Victor and William Eklund. The Eklund brothers here in Vegas. William Eklund just being traded to Vegas at the deadline. 16 points in 20 games since coming over from San Jose. And former Canuck Niels Höglander here in Vegas as well. We traded him to Dallas a while ago. Since then, he's found his way to Vegas. And he's been, since getting there, he's been like a 60-plus point player. Coming off of a career-high 67-point season. Oh my goodness. Fajimo, Wyatt Johnston, and Blake Dwyer on the 3rd line. Oliver Kapanen, Thomas Bordelot, and Morgan Barron on the 4th. Oh my goodness. Defense, Wayne Clough and Liam Donsk. 90 overall, two-way D. 4th overall pick in 2029. Oh my goodness. Adam Boqvist and Owen Pickering on the 2nd pair. Gavrikov and Korczak on the 3rd pair. Goaltending, it is Drew Commesso, 85 overall. 34, 21, and 5 on the season, backed up by Calle Klang. Scratches, nothing too crazy here. Wow, okay, so this is an incredible team here in Vegas. Forbes coming off an 88-point season. Jack Eichel, 101 points for him. And Victor Eklund, 85 points. The Eklund brothers, good depth here with an 86 overall 3rd-line center. Yeah, it's going to be a tough matchup here against the Vegas Golden Knights, one of the better teams in the NHL, having to face off against them in round number 1. So I'll advance a day to get through one more day of the AHL. The season's not over yet, 2 more games left in the AHL campaign, but we are 49, 18, and 3 at the moment. 43 goals and 68 points through 69 games for Zykov. Hopefully in the NHL next season, question mark? That would be great. Bomick 55, Engqvist 54, Perzogin 48 and 65. I want to see more from him. And how about our good friend Pressburg here? Johan Pressburg, what? Only 28 points in 42 games. I'm really surprised. Is it Arcabello who's slowing that line down? Yeah, maybe Arcabello as a grinder. He's not a goal scorer. 8 goals for him. Pressburg is a pure playmaker, and he only has Zykov. So what if we put Alto with 26 goals? I'm going to put Alto, yeah. Alto's going to move to the 1st line. I'm going to make some changes there in the AHL to end off the year and head into the postseason. But I'll do that off screen in a little bit. The questions for you, ladies and gentlemen, headed into the 2033 postseason. It's been a very long episode already, so I'll wrap it here. Do we want to make any tweaks to the lineup, whether it be even strength or special teams, power play, penalty kill? The even strength lineup looks like this for the forwards and this for the defense, of course. Remember that our power play units look like this for power play unit 1, power play unit 2. Now that Tage Thompson's back to fully healed, I can also get him back on the power play. I forgot to put him back in after that 2nd injury. Penalty kill unit 1 looks like this. Unit 2 and Unit 3. Maybe Montoya's holding it back a little bit. We want to give him ice time. And of course, what's going to be going on for the goaltending? What is, our game plan? Maybe we say we start Hunter Jones, but how long is that leash? Is it 1 game each, game 1, game 2, and then make a decision from there? A lot of ways we could go with it. Of course, to end off, we can also consider any extensions if we want to try and send those out before the postseason gets started. Thompson expiring. If we want to keep Tage Thompson as 3rd-line center, I guess we could. He still has top 6 potential, would take under $3 million. Maybe. Hronik would also be wanting under $3 million. We could sign both. We have almost $15 million to play with. Dominguez as an RFA, we could sign him too, but still 78 overall. How much do we believe in him? Campbell could be in the NHL by next season. Then some other guys there. Goaltending, Yeah, no one else expiring. All right, so just to keep in consideration, and that'll end it there. Ladies and gentlemen, year number 10 has come to an end. 50, 24, and 8, the record to finish off this season. But now we have our work cut out for us in the Vegas Golden Knights. We have home ice advantage. They're coming into the postseason having gone 4 and 6. But we know how good they can be. What a season from these guys. Lundqvist 60 goals, Markstrom 107 points, 4th in the NHL. The Swedish Chef was cooking up a storm. But what do we need to do to ensure a deep run in the 2033 postseason? Leave all your comments down here on YouTube or over on the Discord server, link in the description. Join the almost 700 members in there as we're talking hockey, franchise mode, and of course you'll be able to add your thoughts for any questions I might have on the fly while recording an episode like I did this evening. Leave a like if you enjoyed, and of course subscribe if you haven't already. It's free and it's a great way to be made aware of all of our uploads, our multiple franchise mode series, including our 3 live stream series, our career simulations, and much, much more as we close in on 8,000 subscribers. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you once again for watching. I'm looking forward to reading all of your thoughts and seeing you once again in the next one as we kick off the 2033 year number 10 postseason.